What's going on, guys and gals? Bonafide Hustler here. I'm here with a special guest, Josh from the Hairy Tornado. What's up, Josh?
What's up, man? Happy to be here. Thank you so much for doing this with me.
Oh, you're welcome, man. So in this video, guys, we're going to be discussing 10 eBay beginner tips that can really improve your business. And I am confident that even some of these tips are going to be good for intermediates out there. So if you're an intermediate and especially a beginner, probably wanted to be sticking around and checking out these 10 tips. I'm going to do 5. He's going to do 5. Show should be about 20 or 30 minutes long, and we want to give you guys some good value. And Josh hit me up behind the scenes many weeks ago, and we wanted to do this show for like the longest time, but scheduling constraints and stuff. But anyways, Josh, what's up? Tell them about your channel, where you're from.
So yeah, I'm a part-time reseller from South Carolina. I'd been selling locally and thrifting for 5 or 6 years or so, and I just started selling on eBay back in November. I started my YouTube channel like in September of last year, but I didn't really niche down to a reselling focused channel until pretty much March of this year. My channel's been taking off since then. I'm posting content about twice a week, everything from thrifting to eBay tips, which is what this video is about. And I just really love like helping new sellers figure it out because we think it's easy. I mean, you've been doing it 10 years or however long. So it seems easier, but I always remember when I first started, I had watched 30 or 40 videos about how to sell on eBay before I listed my first item, and I still didn't really know what I was doing. So that's what I like doing. I like helping new sellers figure their stuff out and just find success selling on eBay.
All right. So that is Josh with Hairy Tornado, and I believe, do you see the chat, Josh? I want to make sure that we are good on the chat here. I haven't seen it refresh in a while, which is very odd. So I hope that we are live. Let us know if we are live, guys. Comment really quick in the chat. I think my chat is almost stuck. Very odd. Okay, cool. So Sharon Crawford, if you can hear us, check 1 2 1 2. Looks like our chats are going okay. Justin Packman's in the house. We have Christina here, Green Giant. Bunch of other people. Texas Pete 36. And all right, so you guys can hear us. Check 1 2 1 2. And Josh is going to take the very first eBay tip. So what's up, man?
So yeah, so we each have 5 tips here. We're going to go back and forth. And my first tip for any new seller is to just start small. And I mean that both in a financial way and a physical way. I think your first really 10 to 50 items should be stuff around your house that is cheap, low cost to you, low risk of, if you ship something wrong, you don't know what you're doing. You don't want your first item to be a box of your aunt's diamond rings. I see new sellers doing that all the time. They start out with some high value items, and they're very susceptible to scammers and just how to ship things. So that's my first tip, is to start low value items, get your feet wet, learn how to ship things properly. Avoid shipping bulky things like VCRs and the TVs. You don't want to ship stuff like that when you're first starting out. Just start small, both physically and financially.
Okay, cool. I agree with that. My friend that was on a video, I did a ride along 2 days ago. He went garage selling with me, and one of my friends doesn't know quite the eBay thing, but he knows about resale and stuff like that. He's like, I don't know if I have good items to be on eBay. I have like, denim pants that are like motorcycle style. I have like wax canvas jackets. I have leather jackets and bombers. He's like, is that going to be good for eBay? And I'm like, yeah, that's going to be really good. He's like, yeah, I have this stuff. I was like, you should be doing that before going to garage sales and going to thrift stores. Like the stuff that you have at your house that you don't have like a Mary Kondo kind of attachment to it, like you should be selling that stuff first. So like Josh said, sell the stuff that's in your house first that has value. Don't sell things that you think is interesting. Sell things that have marketable value to them. So that way you don't get discouraged and you stay into the game really well. So, all right, hopefully there's no feedback from me. Some people said there's some feedback, but it's all good. Okay, so I'm gonna go to my tip real quick. And that is, it's really interesting. As I was walking around today in my house, I was like, you know what? I really wanna put this tip in there. And this tip is interesting. So realize how amazing eBay really is, because eBay has been around for almost 3 decades, it seems. It's an amazing platform if you want to make money, like professional grade money, side money. It's completely controllable, no boss working over your shoulder, work at your own hours, take pictures with a cell phone, things you already have. and you use materials that are pretty easily available, like through post office or free, or you can get boxes at dumpsters or something like that. So basically, it has a reach to millions of people. You know, like there are so many things, or so many people that can see one and all of your listings while you're sleeping. Basically, they can bid on stuff, they can decide to buy it now, they can any one of the parameters that you set up, you know, it can be exposed to millions of people if you think about it. So that's amazing. Like, you know, outside of Amazon, there really aren't other avenues kind of like that. You know, there's Etsy and, you know, there's Poshmark, but some of these other ones take a lot of catering once you put a listing up. eBay is kind of like one and done. Once you put a listing up, you have to optimize it here and there. You might have to tweak it here and there, but for the most part, it's going, and you just relist it. Or actually, now it's just good till canceled. They have streamlined shipping, so that's pretty good. So as you become a better shipper on eBay, you get shipping discounts, which is great, right? Whether you're a top-rated seller or whatever. It has a site and app capabilities, so you can post on the actual site itself, or you can use the app on your phone. So that's amazing, because you don't have to take your computer everywhere you go, for example. And you can work when you want it to work. Like, you can do vacation. If you want to go on vacation, you put your store on vacation mode, you extend your handling time out, great. What if you work away from home, you're a jet setter and you go away for the week, but you come back on the weekends, you want to open up your store for the weekends, you can do those kind of things. So what I'm saying is, realize how amazing eBay really is. That way it'll keep you in the game longer, as opposed to being frustrated. We have a reseller in our space named Jason T. Smith, and I think within some of his groups, he's like, I don't like it when people, the word that rhymes with itch, but I don't like it when people blank about eBay. And he's right. He's like, it's an amazing, amazing opportunity, and it's an amazing platform. And when people almost like, you know, bite the hand that feeds you, it's almost like disrespect. It's okay to be unhappy about some things that eBay does, but for the most part, realize how amazing it is, because it's truly an amazing thing that can allow you to move inventory. So what's your number 3 there, Josh? I just took care of the second one. What's number 3?
Yeah, for sure. So my second one is going to be, do your research. If you're starting out, you know, like you said, when you find stuff around your house, make sure it has marketable value. I see a lot of resellers, you know, trying to sell just random tchotchkes and stuff around their house, and they get discouraged when it doesn't sell. And they're trying to sell stuff that if you see it at a yard sale in the free bin, you're still not going to take it, because it's just useless crap. Make sure that the stuff that you're trying to sell has a marketable value. Addition to that, know how to look up stuff on eBay. You see it at yard sales all the time. Somebody will have something listed or for their sale at the yard sale, and they'll have the eBay listing. They're like, oh, this person is asking $300 for this coffee mug, so I'll give it to you for $200. When in reality, there's just one listing and 0 solds. So that's something I had to learn when I started. I didn't know how to look up sold comps and how to compare the number of items that were listed versus the number of items that are selling daily. You know, you look up something and see that it's sold recently, maybe 3 or 4 times in the last 90 days, but there's 500 of them listed. So you probably don't want to pull the trigger on an item like that. So know how to do your research, know how to find items that are marketable and have a high chance of selling, especially when you start out, because you're going to be dealing with selling limits. I think if your account is brand new, you have a limit of 5 things you can list at first. And if you list 5 garbage items, you're never going to sell them, and you're not going to be able to move on to that next tier. So list quality items that you already have. Don't worry about sourcing. Like I said earlier, your first 10 to 50 items should be stuff that you already own. So that would be my 3rd tip.
Yeah, that's like a next level tip, man. Like, honestly, as a beginner when I was a beginner on eBay, I don't even think I did that in my first year or whatever. And it's a huge amount of money that you waste if you don't do that one tip, which is like no marketable items. And before you pull the trigger on something that might be interesting to you, it might not be interesting to a bunch of people on eBay, which is the market, right? The market decides what things sell for. And so knowing how to check solds, and eBay will give you the past 90 days of data on your cell phone, which is really what you're going to be checking the solds on anyway, because you ain't going to walk into a store with a laptop, nor will you be in a garage sale with an iPad. You're probably going to be there with your cell phone. So know how to navigate the eBay app. It's a couple clicks in the filters. Once you get, you know, if you search Rockin' Republic jeans, you want to filter down to used, you know, highest sold. And if it's men's or women's, you can put that as well. And you got to whittle it down to where you can see what's the sold stuff versus what is in front of your face. So if you have a $1 pair of jeans and the average is selling for 45, and there's like 100 sold in the past 90 days, that's pretty good. But they're like 5,000 on the market, like you might have to hold on a little bit, but still it's not a bad proposition because in the end it's a very liquid market and you might be okay if you want to get out at 30, for example. But knowing how to check solds is really, really important. I'm going to talk about the fourth tip, which is know your shipping rates, because it's very important. And this only comes with experience, but if you kind of pay attention to your shipping rates, I think your experience will come very quickly, as opposed to not being aware of this one thing. So know your shipping rates. It doesn't matter if you live in San Diego or Scottsdale, Austin, Dallas, all the way up to Charleston or Charlotte, New York, Buffalo, anywhere around the country, like know your shipping rates, kind of, right? And for the most part, you want to do this because you want to be able to put free shipping on your ad as much as possible. This entire world is going more towards a priority shipping, free shipping model. Like Amazon Prime is conditioning people now. Like they're building a warehouse. Amazon's building a warehouse in Austin that's going to make Prime shipping down to same day or next day. Like that is they're dropping a box in my town just so we can get an item faster than it already is, which is pretty fast already. Like I'm not gonna lie, but they're conditioning us because it's kind of like fast internet. Like once you jump onto fast internet, try going the other direction to slower internet. It's like nearly impossible. You will never do it. It's really hard to do, especially if you're a content creator. So know your shipping rates. That way you can jump in on that bandwagon, and you can kind of know like, all right, this box will go to X destination. On average, it's $13.79 to about $15.23. So I'm going to roll in an extra 14 bucks or 15 bucks on my item price, something like that. That way you can put free shipping. And if it ends up being 13 bucks, you made $1. If it ends up being 15 bucks, you lost $1. Don't ever jump on the whole, like, I'm going to lose money if I do free shipping. I will lose money. Like you'll average out just fine, right? So yeah, just think about it like that. Don't ship slow, ship fast, and ship free if you can. And if you want to ship faster, a lot of times just check your FedEx rate and check the priority mail boxes from USPS. I'm in the center part of the country, so I have a little bit of an advantage to both coastlines. But some other people on either coastline, you're gonna have to start looking at flat rate boxes and things like that to bring your shipping costs down. But people still want things fast, so really important to know your shipping rates. All right, so what's number 5 there, Josh?
All right, so first I want to give Sharon Crawford a shout out. She just gave you a super chat, $9.99. So thank you so much, Sharon.
I appreciate that. That is awesome.
We provide so much, and that's, like I said earlier, that's the goal. Like I love having a YouTube channel specifically focused on my journey of figuring this stuff out and still helping you guys in the process. Like I said, I've only been reselling for like 6 months, but I've watched hundreds of YouTube videos, so I feel like I have a good working knowledge. And just you guys watching videos like this, that's exactly what I did to learn what I know now. So Sharon, thank you so much, and thank everybody for checking us out today. So my next tip is going to be to plan an inventory system. I see a lot of new sellers, they get really excited and they go sourcing, 2 or 3 days, and then they start listing. But when they list their items, they end up kind of in a pile, like in the corner of their guest bedroom or something, or on their guest bed. And while that may work for the first month or so, if you really want to scale this business and start making any serious income with it, you've got to have an inventory system. And most of the people that I know use some sort of bins system where they're labeled with letters or numbers. And there's a few different options out there. Me personally, I have bins labeled A, B, C, D, and so on. And then I'll have like some for clothes and some for hard goods. And eBay has a feature called the custom SKU. You can't see it if you list on your phone, it's not available on the apps. You have to, like, I'll list on my phone and then save it as a draft and then finish my listings on my laptop. But custom SKU, if you're listing a shirt, you can list it as A1, and then the next shirt will be A2. So when an item sells, you'll see that custom SKU at the bottom of the order. So you'll know, okay, this shirt is in bin A, and it's the third one, and you'll have a little sticker that says A3. So it seems like a lot of work. You do have to invest in some bins and some storage racks and stuff like that. But like I said, if you really want to take this business seriously and be able to really scale it all, you have to invest in some of this. And I like to think of it as, ideally, if someone who knows how to sell on eBay, like Chris, if you came to my house and I said, hey man, I want you to pack all my orders I ship today. I want you to be able to look at my orders, and you should be able to find every item I have in my storage unit or my storage area in the garage without asking me. You should be able to clearly see, okay, here's the shirt, D5, F2, and A1, and you know exactly how to go to my bins, see the numbers. It's really self-explanatory. And it's so important, especially if you want to scale and hire help later on down the road. You have to have a system that's easy to understand, because there's no point in hiring somebody to help you if you have to spend 6 months, showing them how to dig through your guest room of piles of clothes and hard goods to find what they need to ship for you. So that would be my next tip.
There you go. I like that tip. It's pretty awesome. Now, I tend to do just a box wall. I do pre-boxing, which is interesting. At any given time, I typically have between like 130 to like 170 items on eBay. But my items are different. They cost different. I mean, they cost different. They're targeted items specifically for eBay, and a lot of times they're not super small items. And I would speculate to say that if I was to be more of a clothing type reseller, or even CDs or LPs or things like that, where I'm dealing with massive quantities of things, then I would really need to be doing that bin system like he was talking about, because there's just no way you would be able to keep up with that kind of stuff. And plus, that type of stuff like clothing, CDs, LPs, you can scale that up pretty good. Like, you can teach people to source for those kind of things. And that way you can teach them also how to ship it off. So it's definitely one of those things, as you deal with quantities of things, you're going to be looking at those kind of systems. I don't deal with mass quantities of anything, so my stuff is in sections on my wall, but it's all pre-boxed, which is something that I swear by. You can call it a system, call it not a system, but everything's in a box after I talk about it on a video, or after I find it and I film it or something like that. Like, I put it in a box and it's ready for the day that it gets sold, which makes me stress-free, and it feels like the eBay business is truly running, not as a hobby, but more of a business. All right, so tip number 6 is try not to ever create your own listings unless you have massive quantities of certain things or repeatables of something. Try not to create your own listings. Like, I think most people that are going to be watching the show are going to be going to thrift stores, are going to be going to garage sales and picking up, 10 different items in a day, right? And it's okay if you stick with one genre. That's totally cool too. But like, for the most part, even if you stick with a clothing genre, you're going to pick up, a polo shirt, a flannel, a blouse, maybe a jacket. They're not going to all be the same thing. So try not to create listings, because you shouldn't be picking up things, first of all, that have no markets. Like, that's not good. Even if the only way to really pick up things in bulk and not really care too much about them is if you buy them, where it's like per pound or like fill a bag, then I get it. But for the most part, try not to create your own listings, and try not to bring home things that are not marketable items. So if you have a marketable item, you would have either known about it previously, or when you're in the store or at the sale, you would have looked at it on eBay and you go, there's a good market for this item because I'm looking at it on my phone. Here it is. Boom, I'm going to buy it. I'm going to take it home. Now, the thing is, don't create your own listing for it. Go to those higher grade listings that are keyword rich and press your sell one like this or sell similar button. Optimize the keywords after that, and then you can echo off that listing. But you're going to have to pay attention to things like drop down menus and sizing and things, because when you sell a similar, a lot of things get populated in there, and you have to watch, manufacturer country. Instead of Vietnam, might be China. Who knows? Like, for example, like, you got to be able to catch those kind of things. So yeah, don't try to create listings. I'll go through always do sell similar, because those always have the best keywords. They're ranked high for a reason. They sell high for a reason. Yeah, so you can optimize those things as well. But what is the next tip there, Josh?
The next one's going to be focus on your photos and descriptions. It's very, very important. Like, I see listings all the time, just scrolling through eBay, where somebody has a shirt that it's not even a really great shirt. It's like, some Columbia flannel, and they just have it laid on their dirty carpet with no light, just one open window, and they're asking $45 for it. And while that shirt may be a $45 shirt, it's not going to sell for $45 if your pictures and descriptions aren't up to par. I'm sure most of you have seen Rally Roots, and they've got a ton of videos about how to photograph items and get a nice white background. And I think a good photo, especially the primary photo, the first photo people are going to see, it needs to be a high quality, a well lit photo. If you don't have some sort of lighting equipment, whether it be soft boxes or ring lights, make sure. Sorry, my dog is barking at me. Make sure you're taking your photos at least with a window, an open window shining right at it. Just poorly lit photos are my biggest pet peeve on eBay. And it doesn't really have a lot to do with the camera. I'd say a good photo is probably 95% lighting and 5% camera. I can take better photos with my old iPhone 6 than I can with a lot of these resellers using some, you know, Canon Rebel TI 6 or whatever. So just focus on good photos. And when it comes to descriptions, be detailed. You don't have to write a book, but don't just say long sleeve shirt. Say the brand, say the gender, say the size. I think it's really important to do the length. Like I'll actually take photos using a tape measure, showing the length of the shirt from the back to the bottom, the chest measurements, and the length of the sleeves. And you know, if you're selling low quality items like $10 to $15 shirts, that may not be worth it for you. And that might tell you you need to focus on increasing your ASP, get that ASP up to, you know, 30, 35, 40 bucks, and buy higher quality items that are going to be worth it for you to put that time and effort into listing to list them properly. Because the only thing more discouraging than having poor quality items listed is knowing that you spent 20 minutes trying to list a $10 t-shirt and then it still doesn't sell because it's a $10 t-shirt. So just focus, again, good photos, well lit, avoid any distractions in the background, have a nice solid color background. I like white, and I think eBay and Google like white backgrounds, but I've seen people use, you know, palette wood and stuff like that, and all that's fine. I don't think it really matters that much. But just decent photos, good descriptions that describe the item accurately and honestly. If there's any flaws in your item, make sure to talk about those in the description. And that also helps with lowering your return rate. So that's my next tip.
Cool. And my tip number 8 is optimize keywords when you can. So it's really important. Just because you sell similar or you sell one like this off of someone else's listing and you have to pay attention to drop-down menus and certain things like that, you can also optimize keywords where you can. And this is kind of like, I think it's next level stuff, because the way you optimize keywords a lot of times is you go into Google, you locate the product through a Google image, and then from there you can click into whatever site it might be on. Let's say, for example, that I am looking at a pair of Fry boots, and I don't quite know the model number, but I know that the Fry boots, you know, work, distressed leather, you know, lineman type boots sell for $229 to $300. I really want to get $300 on my pair of lineman boots. So there might be an actual name to these Fry boots, and a lot of Fry boots have names to them. For example, whether it be Chelsea or something. So it's in my best interest to maybe put Fry Logger boot into Google, and then I will check at random sites, Zappos, whatever, to see if I can find something that looks just like it, the undersole, you know, the amount of eyelets on the boot, and then click into that listing and see what the name of that listing is, maybe even the model number, the color variant, the actual, it could be called cherry walnut for all I know, and I'm describing it as brown leather. Like, and you want to optimize the keywords as much as possible. Just because the sell similar button has been hit or you use someone else's listing to kind of get yours started, it doesn't mean you shouldn't optimize the listing, because everything's keyword based. Whether you go into Amazon or you go into eBay, people that want to buy something want a really good experience, and they want to land on potential items that they want to buy, and so they have certain keywords that they put in. So yeah, optimize keywords where you can, and use Google Images / the sites that are on Google to figure out the color variants, the codes, the actual terms to the colors. Like if you ever sell a pair of ASICS running shoes, it could be called like Aqua Berry something. Like it's the weirdest color thing. Same with Nike shoes. You know, they have like Fireberry or like Aqua. They have these weird names, but people are typing those things in, like Oreo Flyknit, for example. You might just think it's just a black and gray and white Flyknit shoe, but it's actually called Oreo. Like that's, I think, a term that is just there in Kicks landscape. How do I say it? When you are a, what is the term when like someone sells a lot of shoes? It's a, it's on the tip of my tongue. But anyways, yeah, you want to, yeah, you know what I'm talking about. So anyways, like they refer to it as something, and like that's a very important keyword to put in there, man. Like that'll expose you to like 50% more potential buyers. So optimize your keywords where you can. Okay, tip number 9, Josh, what do you got, man?
Absolutely, man. I love that last tip. Just I see so many people's titles, like when they have bad pictures and bad descriptions, and then their title is men's shirt or something. Like you've got 80 characters, and you've got to really focus on optimizing those and just fill it up. And just I think it was a quote from like maybe the eBay CEO or something, and she's like, people were asking her questions about how to make their titles to where it fits the eBay algorithm. And she was saying, you don't make your titles to fit the algorithm. You make your titles to fit the buyer. She's like, you need to know what your buyer is searching for and make your titles fit that. She's like, the algorithm's only going to do so much. If your title is garbage, there's no amount of work the algorithm can do can put your item in front of the right people.
That's right. Before you get to your tip real quick, BK Vending and Flipping said, I had a pair of ASICs and they were pink and green, but when I looked up the color, it's called coral. Isn't that weird? Yeah. So like, it just makes, you know, it just goes to show you, like, that's a really good tip right there. Because if you're not putting coral and you're putting pink and green, guess what? You just missed out on however many buyers are looking for coral.
Definitely. Also, with Merrell shoes, like most of the Merrell shoes I found actually have a name. It's not random hiking shoe. They'll be like
weird names too. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Weird. You've got to take the time. If you find a good quality shoe, take the time to actually look up all the information on the tongue, and that'll tell you like the name of the shoe, the name of the colors, and get into that. So, so my last tip, and I think you got one more after this, is going to be expect what you inject. I see a lot of resellers, and really just with entrepreneurship in general, they put in 2 or 3 hours a week for a month, and then they have $40 in sales, and they say, this eBay thing is just a scam. You can't make money on eBay. And they get discouraged and they quit. And I mean, this is a business. Starting a business, you have to put in the time and energy it takes to be successful. You know, I've seen people, the guy Daily Refinement on YouTube, I don't know his actual name, but his goal at first was to get up to like 10,000 active listings. And I think he got there and then kind of lowered it back down, but he did 10,000 active eBay listings working from his house. And I'm like, man, that had to take him years and years of doing that. But when you have 10,000 active listings, I mean, you're selling 100 things a day, 100, 200, 300 things a day, and you can make some serious money. I mean, he's made a video the other day saying he can make a full-time living just off of what he sells on Poshmark. And you're not going to find that level of success working 5 or 10 hours a week. If you really want to do this, you've got to put in time. I'm a part-time reseller, so I work full-time Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Not even 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. I work 8 to 5. So in the mornings, you know, wake up 5:45, 5:30. I do my shipping for whatever sold over the night before or the day before. You know, I get to work and I usually have some YouTube videos or podcasts playing in the background. I'm listening to those. So you've got to just milk all of your free time, all of your unnecessary free time, and focus on your reselling business. Don't sacrifice time with family and important things like that. But, you know, I don't play video games really much anymore. I don't really watch TV much anymore. I've focused all of my wasted free time on growing this reselling business. And, you know, I'm putting in 10 to 15 hours a week or so. I'm comfortable with that, but I also only make maybe $1,000 a month in profit. But I feel like it's a pretty good return on my time. But if you want to make $2,000 or $3,000 a month in profit, that should show you that you need to put in 25, 30, 35 hours a week into this business in quality time, not just sitting there on your phone listing some stuff and then, oh, I'll go check Instagram real fast. Like, you've got to sit down and list. You've got to list, you know, 25, 30 items a day. You've got to go in and edit listings. You got to send offers to buyers. There's a lot of work that goes in behind the scenes of having a successful eBay business. And you're not going to get there if you're working 2 hours a week.
Yeah, I'm going to give kind of like a 9.5, like a half tip real quick, because it echoes something that you were saying. And I really think that, and I did a poll in my private Facebook group called The Green Room. I did this last week, like, who is team cell phone and who is team camera with laptop, right? So if you do eBay, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Do you do everything on the cell phone, your pictures, everything like that? Or do you do a combination of like a point and shoot camera plus an SD card plus a laptop? And I was astonished to find out like it was 90% of the people use their cell phone for eBay, which is cool. We live in a mobile age and everything like that, but I 100% believe that separation from work and life should be there. And it's hard to have separation of pictures. You know, if you wanted to find 2 weeks ago the pictures of you and the dog in the park and everything, but you gotta go through all the eBay pictures too to get to those pictures, and then, you know, might stress you out because you're like, oh, I still have like 10 listings to do today or something like that. I really think it's an important thing, even as a beginner, to separate your business from your personal life, so that way you can actually just get away from it if you need to, and it's not going to follow you and haunt you everywhere you go. You want this thing to be something that you enjoy and not something you regret. But I always go the SD card, you know, the 20 megapixel camera or 16 megapixel camera and a laptop. And it's a lot, I think it's a lot faster. I can zoom through stuff so fast. And it's even faster when you do double and triple listing, which that's for another video, but that's where you take the same verbiage as your eBay stuff and the same titles, and you bring it over to Facebook Marketplace and you bring it over to Craigslist. Same stuff. It's copy and pasting, but nearly impossible to do on your cell phone to another screen and be as fast as someone like myself. So yeah, that's a huge advantage. I think if I can give you guys one tip, is to really start going towards the point and shoot direction, and you know, get an SD card in there that's a decent size SD card, and then use a laptop. Bring the laptop to a coffee shop at the evening when you're watching Stranger Things or Cobra Kai. Like, just sit back, do some eBay listings, and have some fun. Don't make it stressful or anything like that. Anyways, let me give a shout out to Tom Sawyer, who just super chatted. $7.50 to the show. Take charge, take on a full plate. We have the best sales coaches ever. Every once in a while, you'll get a very special item. Don't sell yourself short. That's right. And quite honestly, the better you get a special item like nearly every single week, it seems. Like, I get special items all the time. I love them. But I'm to the point now where it's like I expect that, because I've trained myself so hard. I've been in the eBay game for arguably 14, 15 years now. It's a lot of fun. Is it always changing? Yes and no. It's still a great opportunity, and it's still easy. Like, it's not hard. It hasn't become super complicated like Amazon or anything like that. Amazon's got all kinds of complications, but it's also the biggest, you know, one of the biggest companies in the world. So I would expect that. Anyways, I'm gonna actually put my 10th tip here, or the 10th tip of the show, and we'll be out of here in 1 second. And you kind of hit on it on your tip, the first tip. As a beginner, stay away from large and delicate things to ship off. You said a TV as your example. In my thing, I said, as a beginner, stay away from large stuff, delicate stuff, and typically large and delicate electronic stuff, for example. Like, you just don't want to get rubbed the wrong way early in this game. You want to hit home runs. That's the most important thing, is to get addicted to eBay. And the way you do that is by getting solid home runs that are like 50 or more in pure profit, to where you go, dang, that was easy. I got to do that again. I'm going to the thrift stores tonight instead of watching Stranger Things or Cobra Kai. I'm going to go, like, you know, do this on the weekends instead of sleeping in. I'm going to go to garage sales because that was easy. You need to find those types of things, as opposed to, why isn't my, you know, antique chair from Mongolia selling on eBay? Like, you just don't want that. Like, that's stupid. Don't put it there. You want to stay away from large items, electronic large items. So big things like, you know, TV VCR combos, no way. I would even go as far as say, if you're a beginner, do not mess with VCR and DVD combos. And especially don't mess with VCR DVD combos with a hard drive inside of them. I mean, just like, there's so many variables. You want to reduce your variables. Very important, which is why I like local listings more than anything. But anyways, unless it's your thing though. So this is that kind of disclaimer. Unless this is like your thing and you're so good at it, and now you're starting an eBay business to move some of this stuff, then you should be already knowing how much shipping is going to be and how you need to pack the item or something like that. Yeah, even if packed well, man, you have no idea how these boxes get handled. They're crazy when it goes behind the scenes and you finally drop it off to your postman or at the dock. Man, these boxes get seriously damaged up. And if you're shipping something big and heavy, make sure that your box has a, you know, crush rating. They're all real good boxes will have crush ratings and stuff. And it'll say it on the box too, like, is it 30 pounds, 40 pounds, 50 pound crush rating, meaning it could be stacked with something else that's 50 pounds on top of it, you know, so on and so forth. It's a little too complex as a beginner to be messing with crush ratings on boxes. Shouldn't be messing with it. Mess with padded poly mailers, mess with the small stuff, the regional A and B boxes, like, mess with stuff like that. Try to buy some smalls, because as a beginner, you probably don't have a warehouse. You might not even have a garage to put your stuff in. You're going to deal with stuff that you could probably put in half of an average size small room in the house. Like, you got to be thinking items that aren't that big. So yeah, that was my last tip, which is, you know, as a beginner, you want to get those home runs in. Super important. Very important to have a winning streak so you don't get discouraged and you write off this amazing eBay thing like it's something that you experience so much of. Like, it's an amazing thing if you know how to work it. All right, so let me shout out a couple more people in the feed here. BK Vending says, I just sent out a 300 disc player and it sucked. Yeah, you got to find a box for that thing. You got to do all kinds of stuff. Lots of moving parts. The carousel, man, the last one I shipped off to Amazon, which was like 2 years ago, like, got broken and everything. And I was like, let me have them send it back and see what it looks like. This thing looked like I mean, I don't even know how to explain it. It was so wrecked. I couldn't believe it. The only thing worth any part of money in that entire situation was the remote control at that point. And I just, at that point, it rubbed me the wrong way because that was like one of maybe the last 3 that I sent in, and they are all broken, but they tested out at my house. So people are very rough with stuff out there, so be careful. So yeah, you can do insurance as well and this and that, but like, don't mess with iron cat stuff. If you're a beginner, mess with stuff that is relatively kind of small with good markets. Anything else, Harry Tornado? You can find his channel down below. First link down below is the Harry Tornado, and that is Josh, who you're seeing right here on the screen with me. Any other words before we let him go, Josh?
Well, first, guys, be sure to smash that like button. It looks like there's 88 people watching and only 31 likes, so be sure to help us out and hit that like button. There should be 89 likes down there, so make sure to hit us up with that. But yeah, guys, reselling is probably the easiest business to start on your own without any capital. I started my eBay reselling business with $100. Once I made my first $100, I paid myself back and just float it from there. You know, you can really, for the amount of money and time and effort it takes to start reselling, you can be very, very successful if you just take the time to research and learn and grow in how you watch and how you work your business. I know in a lot of bigger areas, people say that there's a lot of competition and all that stuff, but there's never going to be too many resellers. I mean, there's always going to be stuff for you to find. You know, I see people in the chat talking about clothing items that they bought, you know, a couple years ago and haven't sold. And that's going to happen. I mean, brands are going to come and go. That's like my second tip I talked about. You do your research. You know, look up for upcoming brands. I found a pair of shoes today at the thrift. They're called like Hucks, like H-U-K. I'd never heard about them, but they're selling for like $100 new. And they were like $4.99 at the thrift store. And I didn't see any used ones. And that doesn't mean that they're not going to sell. That means that the brand is so new that people haven't used them and donated them yet. So always be on the lookout for new brands to flip. Chris puts out some great guides to show you about shoes and bags and bikes.
Oh, shoot.
I gotta give you that promotion, man. I got the high ticket items to Bucks, and that was awesome. I found a bike trainer at Salvation Army the other day for $9.99. So I haven't sold it yet, but I've got it listed for $150 on Facebook Marketplace.
Well, enjoy that $100 when you make it. You'll see what happens.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it's a great business to get into. I'm sure most of you guys are watching are already into it, but don't get discouraged. Keep going, keep learning, keep listing, and just let me know one day when you make it. You're making $10,000 a month in net profits. Cool.
So I see a lot of people like loving the show, and I'm going to make Josh here a deal publicly on the show that if I see 30 comments that say this one phrase, we will make you 10 more eBay tips on a video, maybe 2 weeks from now, possibly even next week. But the phrase is, I want 10 more tips. So if you can type that in when this is actually a video on my channel, because we're going to be off the air here in 1 second. If you can type that in as a comment once this is an actual video, I want 10 more tips, then we will get back to you. Josh and I will get you 10 more tips because there are a million tips that we can share with you guys. And yeah, so anyways, yeah, not here, not on this feed, but when it becomes a normal video. That's pretty much it, guys. Josh, you good?
I'm good. Thanks so much for watching, guys. We really appreciate it.
Yep, and we'll see you on the next video, hopefully, if you type in that term. See you later, guys. Bye-bye.